stimulus measures, right, we have broken out over here as well. So about 3 to 4 times we touched it, we came all the way down. Many of the Chinese tech stocks have rallied massively since early last week after the Chinese government announced a slew of stimulus measures to boost the property market, the stock market, and even the economy. And that's why we have seen strength. Even the Hang Seng Index has gone up by more than 20%. So what are some of the top 2 Chinese tech stocks that you can potentially put in your watch list for the longer term rebound? And it's not Tencent, it's not Alibaba. I've covered them in the previous video. In today's video, I'll share with you guys 2 more new Chinese tech stocks that you might want to put in your watch list for a potential rebound. Hey guys, Joey here, top optimizer trader in Philip Securities, and then we'll dive into these 2 Chinese tech stocks whereby people are saying that they have gone up by quite a fair bit, but some analysts are saying that there's still a lot of upside potential. Valuations still look cheap compared to many of these US tech stocks that have been moving higher and higher over the past 2 years. But for Chinese tech stocks, you can see that we have been beaten down heavily since about 2 to 3 years back. Now could just be the beginning of a longer term reversal. So let me share with you guys the first Chinese tech stocks, right, for today, and that would be JD.com, right? So I'll talk about the one that is listed on the Nasdaq, the US stock exchange. The code is JD, but it is also listed in the Hong Kong stock exchange, but let's just focus on the one that is on US. So JD.com is one of the largest e-commerce company in China, right? Similar to like Amazon in the US. Right now we are trading about $44.80 US since like 2021. We have hit a high for around $100, traded all the way down. You see that the trend was pretty much down. We formed what we call lower high just by drawing this downward sloping channel resistance. So since 3 years back, you see we touched a high and we headed even lower each time. Headed lower, very firm downtrend. Probably don't want to buy in the downtrend because you can just go down and down from 100 to 80 to 60, 50, 40 and all the way to like $20. And thankfully, right, we found some support coming back, I would say, since the beginning of the year, right? So $20 was a little bit of a support, and great, the support became higher somewhere around May and June at about $25. So that's a good sign. That's a good sign of a reversal starting to happen, all right? A potential change in the direction of the trend from down, all right, since 2021 to potentially starting to point up. So we got the first confirmation, I would say, for JD.com. Right over here, somewhere around June, because as I say, we broke above that 20 to 25. We went above that 25. We held above 25. So it's a higher support level. Plus, in terms of the moving averages, the red and the blue line, all right, the 100 days moving average and the 200 days moving average, they're all sloping down, right, since about 2-3 years back. But finally, around June, right, we saw the 100 days moving average red line crossing up above the 200 days moving average. Now you can see both of them are starting to point up right now, all right? In fact, over the past few months, they are slightly starting to point up. And so that's another confirmation. And the key here is that, remember, I've drawn this downward sloping red channel resistance line since 3 years back, all right? Touched and came down, but look at this right over here, right? Over the past, I would say, 1 to 2 weeks after the Chinese government has introduced some stimulus measures, right? We have broken out above this red line. Does it make sense? I mean, all we are below this red line, but now we are above this channel resistance. So that could be another confirmation of a longer term change in trend from like down to maybe sideways and now potentially starting to turn up. Because all these while, as I mentioned, for the past 3 years, we have just been trading below this red line. So that is something meaningful, or there's something meaningful that you want to put in your watch list, because there could be a reversal. So let me talk about some very key levels that could give more confirmation as well. You can see that over the past, I would say 1 week, we have broken some of the key levels, like right over here around that 35 to 36. It was a little bit of a resistance level right over here. We saw, okay, let me just remove this red line, all right, and you see that we sold and came back down, but same thing over the past few days. Pump, we went above that 35 to 36, started to push higher. So upside targets maybe could be towards that $50. Let me go to draw one very key psychological resistance level right over here. I think somewhere around that $50. It could be a psychological level. That was where we have seen some support previously. Look at the support, but broke down. traded even lower with the trend still down then, right? Look at this, another support we broke down, right? So $50 could be a psychological resistance level whereby we may see some profit taking over the next 1 to 2 weeks. So we might push all the way up here. Now it's like 44, so we might go to like 45, 46, 47. Near 50, we might see a bit of profit taking. We might just consolidate a little bit, and it's fine as well, because as long as we see some consolidation, and by then the support will have gone even higher. So it is fine to see some profit taking near 50. It might just retrace back down a little bit to like 47, 46, 45. But as long as we find a higher support, like as I mentioned right previously, just the beginning of the year, the support was at around 20, and then it became 25. And now if it becomes like 35 to 36, right? I mean, as of today, right? That would be another higher support. And by next 1 or 2 weeks, if the support becomes even higher, if we were to consolidate maybe above another level, like maybe above the $40, so not even 35 to 36, but maybe like $40, we can draw another new support level. And if we start to consolidate like from 40 to 50 right over here, right? So you can see that was like the range here, and then now we start to push even higher. So the support go from like 25 to 35, and then now if we see another higher support around 40, that could be sign of strength as well. So we might consolidate from 45 to 50, and eventually if the 50 were to give way, great. That would give more confirmation of the uptrend really taking shape, and that's where we could see maybe all the way a trade to the next resistance, maybe all the way to around that 65. You can see 65 level. Look at this right over here. That was where we have sold off. Okay, let me just draw this line. So we have sold off here in 2022. Same thing, we sold off. Same thing, we touched, sold off. About 3 to 4 times we sold off. So around that 65 level, that could be the next upside after that $50. So this is one of the stocks you might watch this. One of those Chinese tech stocks that have traded up heavily, right? Rebounded heavily. So let's see how much has it gone up. So you can see that since last week we have traded up by about 50, more than 50%, right? So I think it's good to wait for some consolidation, let it just cool off a little bit, find a higher support, or we see some bargain hunting coming back again. Well, that higher support could be an opportunity to get in again to ride the longer term reversal. So some people might say, no, it's gone up by 50-60%. No, it's too expensive. I should have gone in like 2 weeks ago, or maybe like 2-3 months ago when it was like near 25 to 28. Well, of course that would be better, right? That would be where you would make quite a huge sum of money. But the point here is that if you're looking at a longer term reversal, you can see that previously we were right over here at $100, and then it started to push all the way down, and you look all the way back, it's pretty much back to where we were in 2019. So same thing, right? 2019, we also found support around 20, and around that $30, we're consolidating. It went to around $40, and the rally really started all the way to that $100. I'm not saying that it will definitely do what it did in like 2019 and 2020. It would push all the way back up and reverse all the way back up. But the point here is that since 2019, right over here, we saw some signs of the trend reversing back up again, and that's where that longer term reversal actually happened, and it went up for like about more than a year of it pushing up before the downtrend came down, before the Chinese government crackdown came, right? So right over here, that was where we were in 2019. So you can see it is pretty much the same price level from here all the way to around here. So if we are looking at a longer term recovery all the way back to maybe 50, 80, 100, well, even though it might have gone up a bit over the past 1 or 2 weeks, I mean not a bit but quite a fair bit, it's still poised maybe for more upside as long as the trend turns up, as long as a higher support is being found. That's where you could time your entry to get in on dips near those higher support levels. So if you got some value out of this first Chinese tech stock that I shared with you, go ahead to give me a like, smash the subscribe button. That will really help out the channel, and you will not miss out on any videos like this as well. And if you want to find out a little bit more on the entire One Good Trend, my One Good Trend, the 1GT strategy, right? Go ahead to attend one of those free webinars. That's where I'll dive much deeper into it, step by step, how to tell the trend, how to pick winning stocks, how to know when to get in, when to get out, how we have a system to help us as well. The link is right below the video. Click on it, register for this free 2 hours webinar, and I'll see you soon. Okay, let's move on to the second Chinese tech stock that I'd like to share with you today, and that would be Bilibili, right? The code is BILI, right? And this company is listed on the US Stock Exchange. So what is Bilibili doing? Well, Bilibili is a video sharing platform, initially focused on like animation, comics, and games, but they have expanded into what we call like general entertainment. They do like live streaming, user-generated content, and even esports as well. So one of the tech companies that have sold off heavily as well. Something like your Alibaba, Tencent, and even JD.com, they've sold off heavily since the beginning of 2021. So the high then, let's do a quick recap, was about $160. And before it hit a high in 2021, look at this, right? Very strong uptrend. It went to like about $20, 20, it broke 30, all the way up to 160, and that was where there were signs of weakness. You can see it started to turn into what we call a downtrend. Look at the moving averages. The 100 days went below the 200 days somewhere in like September 2021, and down it went down, right? So let's take a look at where we are right now and if it could be a potential reversal, especially if we break one of those very key resistance level. Well, let me just quickly zoom into where we are. I think right now we are at about $29.66. So for bilibili, right, you can see that we actually found a little bit of a bottom. Let me just draw this very key support line right over here around the $9. So $9 was a very key, I would say, support since like 2022. That's where we touched and rebounded here, somewhere over here in 2022, and even in 2023 as well, right? We held above it. Beginning of the year, we neared it, and of course, buyers came up again, and that's where we saw a rebound from that, $9 to $10 support level. So it was a slight downtrend, I would say, since around 2022. We can also draw this downward sloping channel resistance line. You can see that it formed what we call lower highs as well, something like this over here. You can see that's where we traded to there, and then sellers came back, went even lower. Same thing right over here as well. We traded to this channel resistance, traded lower over here as well, right? So it was a bit of a downtrend still, but very gentle downtrend. There were some signs of a bottom being formed because we found the support level. But let's dive into what has happened over the past 2 weeks. So same thing, right? Like JD.com, we have kind of like broken above this downward sloping channel resistance rate line, which is about that $16 to $17. You can see this last week we went above it. We even broke that $20, and now we are at 29.66, right? 29.6. So not too bad, right? We have surged up by quite a fair bit. No, there are indeed some signs of the longer term trend starting to form just by looking at it, breaking above the channel resistance, and also from the longer term moving averages. You can see the red line, 100 days moving average, has crossed back up above the blue line. So longer term trend has just started to turn up. It could be the beginning of a reversal. But what is a key level that we need to really get above to see more confirmation, to see that longer term trend really continue to play out? Well, I would say that this level would be that $30. Let me go to draw this very key resistance line right over here. So that would be like a red line. Okay, let me just remove this downward sloping one. So you can see this $30 since 2022, right over here, right? We have touched it like 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, right over here as well, over here as well. So about 3 to 4 times we touched it. We came all the way down to like 20 and even lower. So right now you can see that we are at about that 29.66. In fact, just yesterday, right, on like Wednesday evening, right, we are actually attempting to break that $30. We went all the way up to a high of around 31.77. But what happens? Sellers came back and pushed it back down below 30, and it closed at 29.66. So we are expecting a bit of a profit taking, maybe at some heavy resistance level at about $30. It might just consolidate below 30, maybe from 25 to 30, and that's fine as well because we have gone up by, I would say, let's see, how much have we gone up, right, over the past week? Well, we have gone up from like 15 all the way to like 30, more than 70%, right? So it's normal to see some profit taking. I think it's healthy as well. We see some profit taking, we might stage a bit of a pullback, but the point here is that as it pulls back, right, is there a higher support coming out? Are there buyers starting to come back out even higher? Not at like 15, not at 20, but maybe at 25. Right? If that happens, great. That shows that buyers are out to defend price level. They are prepared to buy at much higher support levels at higher prices, and they might consolidate. And eventually, if the $30 should give way, right, good, right, that is where potentially we could see the start of a reversal, like what has happened over here. Look at this. I mean, in fact, if you can extrapolate this line over here, right, look at this right over here. So that was in 2020 before it really started to rally. Same thing right over here around that $30. So you can see, right, we were consolidating below it. Pump, we went above 30. Of course, the trend then was up, and look at that reversal. So same thing, this 30, all right, I mean, that happened in 2020. There was a resistance that we broke above in 2020. Right now, that seems to be like that same resistance level that we are still below, all right, but we may attempt to break it for that reversal in the longer term to really happen all the way up, right, to maybe 150 to 160. I mean, that was the previous high. I'm not saying that it would definitely go to the high, but that could spark or trigger off a whole new strength in this stock. It could spark off a whole new momentum as it slowly consolidates and trade upwards, consolidate and trade upwards. It just could be the start of the uptrend forming. All right, so just watch this level, $30. If you to like stay above 30, right, go to 31, 32, 35, 34, whatever. That could be the start, that could be the confirmation that we're waiting for, and by then all the moving averages in the long term will continue to point up, and that is pretty much what could happen, right, like what we've seen in 2020 as well. Alright guys, so there we have it. These are pretty much the two Chinese tech stocks that are in my watch list for potentially even more upside in the next few months, maybe next 1 or 2 years as well, as the recovery slowly takes shape, right? So it really depends on the market. So far, we're seeing a little bit of volatility, a bit of profit taking, and spike up more than 50-60%. Sellers came back, but hopefully we see some support being found. As I mentioned, those levels I talk about, if there are higher supports being found, if buyers are willing to buy and support these stocks at a much higher level, it consolidates and break that key resistance level that I mentioned as well, that could be even more upside. That could be the uptrend really starting to play out even more. Alright, so I hope you like this video. You have taken note of these two stocks. If you found the video useful as well, go ahead to give me a like, smash the subscribe button, hit the follow button so that you will not miss out on any videos like this. And if you want to find out a little bit more about the entire strategy, about how we have a system to guide us on entry and exit, I call it the One Good Trend Framework. Well, go ahead to attend one of those free webinars where I'll share with you guys step by step the entire process. Alright, the link is right below. Click on it, register for 2 hours webinar, and that's where I'll dive much deeper into it. Joey here. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon.